Hey guys, this is Manic with your weekly astrological weather report. I'm doing the week of April 19th through April 26th, and I'm actually starting on Sunday because today is Sunday, April 19th, the sun goes into Taurus. So it's kind of a new beginning in a way, beginning of Taurus, beginning of a subchapter. So I'm starting today, first day of Taurus. So Taurus is it's the middle of spring, so spring is in full swing now. It's an Earth sign, and it's ruled by Venus, which is a benefic planet, or one of the nicer, easier planets to work with. It rules love and beauty and abundance. So Taurus is one of the most more pleasant times of year. The Earth is thriving, nature's thriving. Things are in full swing. Things that began in Aries are now fully blossoming and really coming into existence in Taurus season. Okay. So yeah, Sunday the sun moves into Taurus. It is a new beginning in that regard, but other than that, Sunday is basically just a continuation of last week. We're still winding down from that high tension we experienced last Tuesday and Wednesday. So still coming off of that, still beginning to get more calm. It's generally very calm Sunday as the moon is at the end of Pisces. Moon is generally happy in Pisces. It's getting close to the end of its cycle, so things are winding down, coming to a close a little bit on Sunday. Deacceleration. Going into tomorrow, Monday, April 20th, 420. There could be some generally awkward situations with the moon conjunct passing over Chiron. So people being could be more empathetic, but people could also just be more generally awkward. There could be some awkward situations or miscommunications because Chiron has kind of a weird, awkward feeling to it. Also, as the sun is getting into Taurus now, it's at 1 degree Taurus on Monday. It's beginning to square Saturn, so that's bringing up, there's some issues Monday and Tuesday where the sun in Taurus sort of represents the people and Saturn in Aquarius represents the government. So there's this sort of clash, or there's this this change in the environment that demands immediate action, or it demands some kind of action, but there's this sort of clash of energies, or this disagreement between perhaps the common people versus the authority figures, something like that on Monday. And going into Tuesday, there's generally Monday and Tuesday, there's a build up. So things start to build up starting the week. Things get more intense. Tuesday gets more intense as the moon it crosses over Mercury and then begins to square Pluto and Jupiter toward the end of Aries. So in general, there's this square between Mercury and the Moon in Aries, and Pluto and Jupiter in Capricorn. So it's Aries versus Capricorn. So you have fast versus slow, impulsive versus long-term thinking. Both are very headstrong signs, but one wants immediate action and it's very impulsive and reckless and more emotional. And then the other one is more pragmatic, long-term thinking, slower, more of a planner energy. So in other words, there's this situation that requires immediate action. It requires some kind of action, but there's disagreement on what kind of action should be taken. The people in general, the common people, are very restless and want a solution, but the government is taking a longer time and is taking longer to come up with an answer, basically. So it starts to build on Monday, April 20th, and then really becomes more pronounced on Tuesday. And then going into Wednesday, Wednesday is like the biggest day of this week. It's the new moon in Taurus at 3 degrees. So it's right here. There's a new moon in Taurus, 3 degrees. It's conjunct Uranus, but then square Saturn. It makes looser squares with Jupiter and Pluto, but it's only 2 degrees away from squaring Saturn. So what does this mean? So basically, typically, both the sun and the moon are typically very comfortable in Taurus. The moon is exalted in Taurus, and then also the sun. During springtime in general, there's more daylight than darkness, but then also each day the sun is we get more sunlight each day. So in general, the sun and the moon are both very comfortable in Taurus. So it's a very pleasant new moon. New moons in general are a time of manifesting or planning the next month or the next lunar cycle. Um, so yeah, so just that aspect in itself would be very pleasant. Very, it's one of the more peaceful parts of the lunar cycle. But because it's conjunct Uranus, which is completely unpredictable and spontaneous, and um, and because it's square Saturn, which is more serious, it's sort of representing this clash between the common people ruled by Uranus and the leaders or the uh, politicians, the governments, which are ruled by Saturn. And it looks like it probably has to do with money because Taurus is the sign of money. Uh, so, and in general, the power is more on the people's side because the sun and the moon are there. So yeah, Wednesdays there's this unpredictable clash between people and the government. I would say, um, and starting on Wednesday, there's this increasing tension between the media and the government. Um, I think the media is covering a topic that is true. They're covering some information that is true, but then they're totally just running with it and adding fuel to the fire. Totally just kind of adding more tension than there needs to be, and more negativity and stressful information. The mental energy is very stressed. The information, the media is very restless and negative and sort of stressed, and it's not entirely productive. It's sort of just clashing and just making this tension more pronounced. Uh, yeah, so while there is this big new moon aspect on Wednesday that is the main peak of energy, uh, as far as Mercury, or in other words, as far as the media and the information goes, there's tension there that's building up starting Wednesday, but building up after that. So there's this sort of dichotomy between the media and the information, which is just getting more and more tense, and then everything else, which is generally becoming the most tense on Wednesday, but then it begins to get a little bit more calm going into Thursday. Thursday, April 23rd, the moon's in Taurus, so once the moon separates from this new moon aspect with these planets, it will actually bring some harmony to this situation because it toward the end of Taurus it'll start to make trines with Jupiter and Pluto. So it'll actually bring some harmony to this big situation a little bit. So again, just to reiterate, while Mercury, which rules the media, is beginning to square and just cause all this tension with the government, while that's beginning to happen, in other areas things are calming down. The moon is beginning to actually bring some positive energy. So although the media will probably remain negative about everything, in other areas of life there actually will be some positive developments, and there will be some actual action and some flow in regard to the situation, um, specifically on Thursday. Um, and then going into Friday, it's a mixed bag still. Um, Again, it's that dichotomy. Media is negative, so just check in on what's happening just to stay informed, but don't dwell, stay hyper analyzed or hyper analytical of what's going on. Don't tune into the media too much because it'll be um, just running in circles or getting kind of frustrated with the situation. Just ride it out. It'll get better going into the weekend. Starting Saturday, the moon enters Gemini, I think early on Saturday, or maybe late on Friday. Whoops. At any rate, going into the weekend, late Friday, early Saturday, the moon enters Gemini, and so although the moon is exalted in Taurus, so Taurus is kind of the best sign for the moon to be in. I actually like the moon going into Gemini this week because it's not making as direct aspects with these major players. You know, especially these guys right here. As the moon enters Gemini, it will make a trine with Saturn. So that again, that just brings more positive energy or flow to this larger issue or larger situation. But then as it goes further into Gemini, it'll approach the conjunction with Venus and then trine on Mars. So it'll do all of that just Saturday and Sunday, April 25th and 26th. And the moon is considered to be in joy in Gemini, so it's more playful and light. I think over the weekend we'll probably have a desire to be maybe to be social or just to do something that's intellectually entertaining or stimulating, like have a good conversation or watch something intellectually entertaining, and maybe just detach from the situation a little bit just to try to have a good time in the meantime. That would be the more positive side. So I do like that development, and it's happening perfectly over the weekend too on Saturday and Sunday. And again, just to say again, Mercury, while that's happening over the weekend, Mercury will be making it. It'll be starting the exact squares with Pluto, then Jupiter. Um, so again, yeah, the information is negative, the media is negative. It's just kind of being hypercritical or just stirring divisiveness with what's going on and just causing conflict. I think in general, Mercury's in a really tense situation as it squares all that and as it approaches the end of Aries. Because typically, when a planet approaches the end of a sign, it's about to enter the new sign. It has a lot to go through, and it has kind of a crisis energy where it's packaging everything that it learned from the past sign and then preparing for the next one. So Mercury's got a lot going on. It's really tense. The moon is kind of where the positive energy is. The moon and Venus in Gemini. That looks really nice. So this weekend, just focus on something intellectually interesting and entertaining, and try to be aware with what's going on, but also don't focus on it too much where you're just stressing yourself out. Try to have a good time in the meantime. I should also mention on Saturday, the Sun does make that exact conjunction with Uranus, so it'll be very unpredictable. We have these aspects involving Uranus on Wednesday and Saturday, so those are the two most unpredictable days, although they do kind of spill out into the days around them. So basically all week is very unpredictable, specifically with money, specifically with the economy, the stock market. Things can be very volatile right now. Yeah, and again, yeah, specifically Wednesday and Saturday, but also kind of all week as well. It's very, very volatile, very unpredictable. It's a very Uranian week, and Uranus can it can disrupt things. It can cause chaos and even like destruction to an extent. It rules earthquakes, and it can rule metaphorical earthquakes, which would be just like a sudden shift or a sudden change. You're going one direction and then suddenly you're going in a different direction. But Uranus can also rule the people and enlightenment and sudden shifts in consciousness or sudden enlightenment or being able to see holistically and understand situations from a new perspective. So it could go either way. There's a lot going on. But yeah, we'll see what kind of new developments happen. And also, the other planet besides Uranus that's very strong is Pluto, because I believe on Saturday, Pluto turns retrograde. But because it's so slow, it's pretty much almost at a stand. I mean, it moves so slowly that it's. What I'm trying to say is it's completely stationary on Saturday, but because it moves so slowly, a month before the April 25th and a month after that, it's basically not moving. And when a planet is stationary in the sky, it's said to be very strong, very potent. So everything that Pluto represents, which is destruction and inner transformation. Pluto, you reach your emotional limit, and your limits of your being, of what you're capable of, and you have to expand and transform and get stronger to overcome what's going on. And Pluto's the slowest planet in our solar system that we're aware of. So it's very big picture, very long term, very abstract, very subtle. So that's sort of just in the background, and it's enveloping this entire situation. So in the background, on a very subtle level, we're going through this intense transformation at this time, and it's unpredictable. Um, we do have a lot we can gain from this, and I think we'll only see it much later that we're all getting a lot stronger because you have to at this time. So yeah, that's just generally what's happening. Next week, the nodes switch signs, so that should be really interesting. In 2020, there's lots of phases ending and lots of phases beginning, so there's always more information. So hang in there, and that's all I've got for this week. But I'll see you next time. Thanks.